Alright, today we got UFC fighters you might not know are on steroids. And this isn't going to be an opinion or analysis thing like, is Usman on steroids or Marab because the way they fight and the way they look. It's just going to be who's actually tested positive. Alright, first one we got is Brian T-City Ortega. On July 26, 2014, Ortega tested positive for drostanolone. What that is basically an anabolic steroid similar to testosterone, which it's going to help you put on muscle, help your strength and stuff like that, and recovery. For this, Ortega was issued a 9-month suspension, a $2,500 fine, and when asked about it, when confronted, Brian Ortega fully admitted and apologized. That might seem like common sense, but you'll find like literally no one else in this video does this. Everyone else just denies it. Brian, he just noted that he made a mistake and he was going to move on with his career, which is, pretty respectable. And another common thing that you'll see throughout this video is these guys' physiques. Like, it's not the guys who look like Aljamain Sterling or Paulo Costa or even Leon Edwards that just got good physiques. It's a guy like Brian Ortega who literally looks like he just fucking stepped out of LA Fitness. All right, next one, Marvin Meathead Vettori. On August 24th, 2018, he tested positive for ostarine. That's basically a selective androgen receptor modulator. A lot of you guys probably know that as a SARM, which isn't the same as an anabolic steroid, but it is 100% a performance enhancer. A lot of guys will try to say that SARMs aren't that, whether in like the bodybuilding community or even like in any sports community, they'll kind of downplay it. And while it doesn't help massively in producing muscle mass and building size, it does have potential huge increases in strength. Your strength can seriously shoot up taking this shit. It's a legit fucking steroid, bro. And for this, he got a 6-month suspension. And when confronted about this, he made a really funny IG video, actually. He says, sorry for the circumstances and for the fans. He's like, sorry, life happens. But I had no knowledge of taking the substance, and I have no idea how I got it. It was probably a tainted supplement, and I'd never cheated in my life. But I'm sorry for cheating. That's basically what his fucking apology was. A lot of you might have heard a little bit about this next one. This is Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's tested positive twice for ostarine. The first one was on October 6, 2018. And if you weren't paying attention before, I'll give a quick recap. Ostarine is a SARM, which isn't the same as a steroid, so it's not going to help you put on as much muscle. But what it can do is give you really fucking serious increases in strength. Which, if you look at Sean O'Malley, that would totally add up. Because guys like Jan have actually said he's way stronger than he looks, but because guys have tried to grapple him and said he's a lot stronger than he looks, this adds up because he looks like a prepubescent fucking teen, but he has serious strength. For this first one, he was issued a 6-month suspension. And then he tested positive again on June 21st, 2019. And originally he was given a 6-month suspension. The second one, also for ostarine, was on June 21st, 2019. He was also going to receive a 6-month suspension for this, but it got overturned. This was basically because after the first test, they gave Sean the option to enter into this program where they would like meticulously track his like travel, his supplements, his diet, all that shit. So this wouldn't happen again, hopefully. But obviously it did. And this time it was noticeably lower than the first test. So basically what they went with, it was either remnants in his system from the first test, despite that being a fucking year earlier, which if that's the case, it means he's absolutely blasting his tits off. Or the other alternative was fucking basically he got a tainted supplement, which I don't believe any of those contaminated meats or tainted supplement shit. Like, that's just a fucking, people say that all the time, but it's actually rare that happens. Funny, I just said that because wanna know what happened to Brian Ortega? Tested positive for Clen, which was from tainted meat. On July 6, 2017, Brandon Moreno tested positive for clenbuterol. Clen's a beta-2 agonist, which basically means it's mildly anabolic, but it's not fully a steroid. So it helps a little bit with muscle, but the main thing that Clen does is a fat burner. It raises your metabolic rate, it makes working easier, and it makes fucking burning fat a lot easier. And the reason why I say is I believe Brandon Moreno is innocent. I'm just going to start off with this. Brandon Moreno doesn't have to cut a shit ton of weight to make 125. It's not like a guy where he'd be needing this regularly, like fucking compared to dudes who are making massive weight cuts like Sterling or Poirier or some shit like that. And I'm sure, as most of you know, Brandon Moreno's Mexican. And you won't get fucking tainted meat in the US or any like actual first world countries because it's all regulated. In Mexico, it is regulated, but they just do a fucking shitty job. And I actually found a study to kind of prove this. In 2014, on a study of just random Mexican beef products, they found that 30% of samples were tainted with Clen. And while you should probably fucking be eating at some places that aren't like street vendor tacos or some shit so this doesn't happen, this did happen. And his suspension was actually overturned because they found so little in his system. Plus, you know what I'm saying, they believed the tainted meat shit. He's innocent. And this next innocent guy will piss some of you off. And this is because my sweet, glorious king, Islam Makhachev, is innocent. You'll probably see a ton of shit, you know what I'm saying, calling him a steroid cheat. All these daggies are on roids. All these fucking mountain fucking breeder crotch sniffers, they're on roids. No, he's not on roids. Fuck you. April 16th, 2016, he tested positive for ischemic meldonium. Took me a couple of takes to say that one. What this does performance-wise is it improves your body's capability to carry oxygen throughout the body, you know what I'm saying? So it just helps with all-around performance. And you might be wondering why he got caught with that shit. It was for a heart medication. Because some of you guys won't know that Islam actually had a heart condition. What that heart condition was is there was an extra beat every once in a while. So what the procedure is, it's called a cardiac ablation. They would just kind of burn off the piece of the tissue that would cause it to beat again. And that would basically just fucking make his heart normal, I guess. There's a whole fucking interview in Russian that got translated, and I watched it. He said this was right after a Sambo championship while he's flying, and his personal doctor strongly recommended him to take that shit because it would aid in recovery or whatever, I guess. And the reason why this one got overturned is because right when this happened, the UFC called him up. Khabib got in contact with the UFC with Islam, and they sent him this big-ass thing of fucking all the medical records that they've been keeping. So no, this wasn't no fucking Dagestani privilege or Khabib privilege or whatever the fuck you want to call it. They were just actually prepared and on top of it, and because of that, the UFC was able to clear it up. And this is why Islam and Moreno have failed drug tests, but they haven't fucking, they're not PED users, and they haven't really failed a drug test because both of them got overturned. And some other guys that you might have seen have failed a test but aren't actually, or just some fucking off the top of my head, like Curtis Blades and Kevin Gastelum, both of them fucking had weed in the systems when they fought, so their fights got ruled no contest, but you know, they're not actually PED users. Like the filthy fucking Austrian blasting rat, Sean O'Malley. I fucking hate this guy. And this video was at the request of Juan1507. I just thought this was interesting because, for example, I fucking completely forgot Ortega and Vettori fucking got caught up with roids. And for you guys just to fucking see a guy like Paulo Costa and just assume he's on steroids, like, no. Maybe you should assume a guy like Izzy, who has fucking man tits growing out of him. Or maybe you should assume a guy like fucking Sean O'Malley, built like string being, built disgusting, has no muscle whatsoever. But that's just some food for thought for the next time, you know, you're looking at a guy who has a Greek god physique and be like, oh, he's blasting gear, you know. Probably, but probably everyone knows. Who fucking knows? Anyway, end of the video. Kind of shitty. Whatever. It's John Does MMA. Thanks for watching.